Dear students, let us discuss another topic, that is photo reception in case of the vertebrates. So, uh, you know all the vertebrates, they receive the light, that is the photoreception, with the help of the eye. And vertebrates have two types of eye. One is unpaired or the median eye, and the other is paired lateral eyes. Let us look at the median eye. Uh, the median eye are present in a very large number in case of and much abundant in case of the ancient animals, ancient fishes, ancient amphibians, ancient reptiles, though they are also found in some of the vertebrates even today. Median eyes are in the form of this pineal eye and the parapineal eye, or you can say the pineal organ and the parapineal organ. Pineal organ is associated with the pineal gland, so its name is it is a pineal gland, is responsible for circadian rhythmicity. That means the sleep wake system of the body uh, is regulated by the pineal body of the brain, and this pineal is associated with the pineal body of the brain. Uh, in addition to this parapineal organ is also called as parietal or the third eye. This basically converts the photostimuli, that means the stimuli of the light, into neuroendocrine message, and thus regulate the temperature of the body. Because whatever the stimuli is coming from outside is required to be transformed into neuroendocrine system, which can be, so that the message can be understood by the brain and the endocrine system of the body, so as to regulate the body. Both these are formed as a dorsal evagination of the diencephalon of the forebrain. So, the forebrain have the diencephalon part, and evagination means coming out. So, it is the dorsal evagination means both these bodies comes out from the dorsal side. You can see this is a reptile shown over there, and here this is the location of the parapineal eye or the pineal eye or the third eye, you can say. Uh, these are this pineal or the parapineal or the third eye is the are the light sensitive in lampreys like cyclostomes. The cyclostome species like lampreys, they are light sensitive. They have lens and sensory innervation, that means as the lens of the eye, as they are innervated by the nerves from the brain. So, sensory innervation is there, but they do not have the retina where the image is formed in the eye of the animals, so they do not form the image. So, this third eye do not form, or the median eye do not form the image. Pineal and parapineal bodies probably do not serve as light receptor above reptiles. So, if it is present functionally only in the lower vertebrates up to reptiles. Above reptiles, in the birds and mammals, it is not present. The parapineal of reptiles like Sphenodon, when present, is covered over by a translucent tissue. So, that means it is not exposed externally in the Sphenodon as the lateral eyes are, but it is covered over by translucent tissue. Now let us look at the lateral eye. The lateral eyes of the vertebrates are essentially similar. That means all the vertebrates are having almost similarity in structure of the eyes, and the lateral eyes are camera type, as they have a lens. This is the lens which is used to focus the image of external object. Say for example, this is the external object. This lens is focusing the image of this object onto the retina. Thus, this retina is exactly like the photographic film, where uh, the image of the object is formed. So, it is camera like because this lens can focus exactly like that of the camera. The eye of the lower vertebrates, for example, fishes and the amphibians which lives in the water, they differ from the higher vertebrates. Obviously, because the condition of the water and the condition of the air are not similar, so the eyes are again different in the aquatic animals and in the terrestrial animals. Like you can see, the eyelid and tear glands uh, are absent in case of the in fishes, because here the function of the eyelid and tear gland is to clear the eye and wash the eye. This function is taken over by the water because the fishes remain inside the water. So, they do not require eyelid or the tear glands. As far as the refractive index is concerned, you know what is refraction. When a light passes from one medium to other medium, the speed of the light is not always similar. So, for example, if it is coming from air, it is entering into this medium of the eye, then it is not traveling through the same speed. So, it slightly bends. So, this is the refractive index. Looking at the refractive index and the cornea of the eye, refractive index of water is nearly the same as that of cornea. So, in case of the fishes, the refractive index outside, that is of the water, and that of the cornea is same. Thus, the cornea of fish's eye does not bend the light. So, there is no need of bending of light because the refractive index is same. Whereas, in case of the in addition to it, uh, the cornea is flat in case of the fishes, whereas in case of the land vertebrates, the cornea is bulged out and refractive index of the air and that of the eye is not similar. So, there is a bending of the light as observable from this picture. As far as the shape of the lens is concerned, in the lower vertebrates like the fishes, the lens is spherical with a greater refractive power, whereas in case of the higher vertebrates like the tetrapods, they have the oval or the flat lens which is with less power of refraction. As far as the method of accommodation is concerned, it also differs in lower and higher vertebrates. Like the fishes, amphibians and snakes focus on the moving object by focus on the object by moving the lens back and forth in camera fashion. As you focus the camera, the lens move either forward or backward. Whereas in case of the mammals, birds and reptiles other than snakes, they have a particular layer called the sclera, which is very tough. So, sclera of these higher vertebrate is tough. It is not tough in the lower vertebrates. Sclera is the white of the eye, this portion, this is the white of the eye. Here it is, this is the sclera, and it is tough, and the lens is immovable, it cannot move. So, it means it cannot pushed forward or pulled backward as we have observed in the lower vertebrates. So, what will happen over there, that this lens is little bit elastic, it is having the elastic property. So, it can change its shape only while remaining at the same position in order to alter the magnifying power. Now, let us try to look at the general eye structure of the mammals, because mammals have the highly developed eye. First, try to understand different parts of the eye of the mammals, and then we shall look at which parts are absent in other vertebrates and which are present in addition to it. So, we have taken the mammal eye first because it is highly developed. You know, the mammal eyeball is circular spherical and it has the eyelashes, you can see over there. In rabbit, a transparent nictitating membrane also lies anterior to cornea. So, cornea is the external most layer of this eye, and external to it you may have the transparent membrane called the nictitating membrane in case of the rabbit. This is also called as canthus. So, in rabbit, a transparent nictitating membrane lies in the anterior corner of the eye. It is not present behind the eye. It is present at the anterior, the exposed part. It is called canthus. No, as you can see from this picture, I have shown a picture where it is drawn off the eye. It is not present on this eye. It can be drawn across the cornea from this region to this region. It may reach up to this, covering the whole of the eye. Okay, this serves the purpose of cleaning. So, by doing so, it cleans the eye. Whereas in human being, this is vestigial and represented by pink semilunar mass only. If you look at the wall of this eye is a hollow ball. It is hollow from inside. It has the three layers: the outermost sclerotic, the inner one choroid, and then third one retina. Let us look at the sclerotic first. This is sclerotic layer is made up of the connective tissues, and it is opaque. Opaque means it will not allow the light to transmit from one side to other side, and it is the white of the eye, and this sclerotic region is hidden because at the anterior end this sclerotic layer form cornea, which is transparent, which is not opaque, but behind it, it is opaque. So, it is hidden, it remain inside the body, it is not present at the exposed surface of the eye. But its small anterior exposed part, as I have already told you, is transparent, and now it is called the cornea. It is the cornea through which the light will enter. The external surface of the cornea, you can say, is covered over by this conjunctiva. This is the conjunctiva. This is basically the layer of the epidermis. Then you look at the choroid. Choroid is heavily pigmented layer, so shown over here by the black. So, it is having a pigment, heavy pigment inside it. So, because of presence of pigment, it can absorb the light, and once the light is absorbed, so there will not be a too much reflection of the light. So, blurring of image is controlled by having this black pigmented layer called the choroid. Choroid lines only the posterior region of the sclera. So, it is not again present anteriorly. This is the sclera. So, it is present all along the posterior region of the sclera. Anteriorly, this choroid at the junction of sclera and the You can see this is the choroid. At this region he is talking about, anteriorly near the junction of sclera and cornea. So, here this is the cornea and the sclera was coming over it. So, this was the point from which the cornea was starting its taking its position, and behind it was the sclera. So, at this junction he is talking about, choroid becomes enlarged enough, you can see over there, to form a ciliary body. So, this is the ciliary body, it is having ciliary muscles attached with it. Now, this ciliary muscles secrete the aqueous humor in the anterior chamber of the eye. So, this chamber is filled with a fluid called the aqueous humor. This aqueous humor provides nutrition to the eye as well as it maintains the pressurized state of the eye. So, if this due to puncture this aqueous humor is released, then the eye will not appear as a pressurized structure, it will deform its shape and it will become almost flat over there. In front of this ciliary body, the choroid becomes widely separated from cornea. You can see this was the cornea, it has separated itself, forming the iris. It is visible from outside as an opaque brown disc. So, you can see this is the opaque brown disc which is visible from outside, and basically it is the iris. It is perforated, it is having a hole which is called the pupil at the center. So, this is the pupil, the black of the eye. The pigmented iris is again prevents the entry of the light except at the region of the pupil. So, light can enter the eye only at the region of the this pupil, the hole present between two iris. This pupil can be constricted, so it can be withdrawn behind, or it can be dilated, so it may reach anteriorly due to the action of iris muscle present behind. Thus, they regulate the amount of eye entering into the eye, amount of light entering into the eye. So, by constricting itself, it will allow much more light to enter, and by dilating itself, it will narrow down this pupil or the hole. As a result, less light will enter into the eye. Then you look at the third layer, the retina. It is the innermost and the transparent layer. It is very sensitive to light, and it contains two types of the cells called the rod cells and the cone cells. Now, rod cells are sensitive to low intensity of light, whereas cone cells are sensitive to high intensity of light, and these are the cone cells which are responsible for color differentiation of the objects. So, it means those animals which will not have the cones present inside them, they will not be able to differentiate the color. Now, color perception in mammals is confined to man and primates only. Rest of the animals hardly differentiate the color. Now, the spot where all the nerves fibers converge, because whole of the eye is innervated by so many nerve fibers coming, and all these nerve fibers ultimately they converge at a point. This point is called the black spot or the blind spot, because this is the point where no rod and cone cells will be present, no retinal cells will be present. As a result, image shall not be formed over there. So, it is called blind spot. Now, near to it you may have another depression which is called the yellow spot, or also called the fovea. uh, it is a point of principal focus on the brightest image. So, brightest image is formed over there. So, this is a point where brightest image is formed, because it has only cones and no rods, and you know the cones are responsible for high intensity of the, for perceiving the high intensity of the light. So, once the rods are not there, so the brightest image shall be formed over there. Then you look at the lens. This is solid biconvex uh, shape present in the mammal in the form of the lens. It is present just behind the pupil. So, this was the pupil and the lens present behind it, and it is held or suspended over here with the help of the ligaments called the suspensory ligaments. Now, in old age, people suffer a disease called the cataract. Now, in cataract, lens gradually become opaque. So, it means it may not be able to transfer the incoming light to the retina. So, it become opaque, and you know the animal the pupil become blindness, become blind. So, doctor cure it by removing this natural lens with the help of the artificial lens, and thus allowing the light to pass through it to form the image on the retina. Now, the main purpose, the main function of the lens is as the purpose of lens in camera, that is to focus the image. Now, let us look at the comparative state, comparatively in different animals, how the fishes and the other vertebrates differ in the structure of the eye. In the fishes, let us look at the cyclostomes first. Now, here they have very degenerate type of the eye, in which eyeball is buried under the skin. You have the skin present over it, you can see there. Uh, that too without cornea. This eye don't have cornea, don't have iris, don't have lids, don't have ciliary apparatus. The sclera is continuous at the anterior end in the form of the scleral cornea. In case of the cartilaginous fishes, they have large rounded cornea. So, cornea is large and rounded over there, that helps the spherical lens in focusing. The lens can project through the pupil. So, that means it can project outside through the pupil, so that the animal can see on its sides. In few elasmobranchs, that means few cartilaginous fishes, at the center of the choroid there is an additional layer called tapetum lucidum, not shown over there. This tapetum lucidum is basically a layer, you know, otherwise the choroid layer is pigmented, which absorb most of the light, thus avoiding the unnecessary reflection of the light, thereby avoiding the blurring of the image. But since these fishes, they are living in the water, so in the water already light is very less, so they have a layer called the tapetum lucidum, which makes reflection, so that the maximum light may be achieved by the retina for the formation of the image. They have monocular vision, because only image is formed by single eye only. Sharks are normally long sighted and color blind due to absence of cones, so their retina do not have the cones present over there. In case of the bony fishes, the outer part of the choroid of few teleosts, so he is talking about of this layer, pigmented layer, a silvery or the greenish golden layer is found called the argentia, which acts as a reflector. So, again here again another layer called the argentia is present over there, so in order to reflect the light. So, because the fishes, they are living in the water, in order to accumulate maximum light for a good image formation. They have some reflecting system. Argentia in case of the teleost, and in case of the elasmobranch it was tapetum lucidum. Fishes are mostly color blind, as I have already told you, because no uh, they do not have the cones, and the fishes do not have the eyelids also. As far as the amphibians are concerned, they have the simpler eye, even simple than that of the fish. They are small and sunken, so they are present inside the body, sunken inside the body. Uh, they lack tapetum lucidum, so it is not present over there, and again they do not have the argentia over there. Retina does not have fovea, so fovea is again not present over there. Fovea, the yellow spot, for the formation of the brightest image. A frog can protrude its eye and can withdraw. So, though the eye is sunken, but it can be protruded outside and it can be withdrawn inside. Unlike the lens of human eye, the frog's lens does not change its shape or position. So, it do not have the elasticity which we have discussed in the mammal. So, there is a poor accommodation as far as the formation of the or the focusing is concerned. There is very poor accommodation. Therefore, frog is myopic. That means they can see only the objects which are very much near to them. Due to widely separated eyes, frog are again having the monocular vision. Monocular vision means again one image is formed by one eye as a single. Both the eyes cannot look at the same object at the same time. Then the reptiles, eyes are with well developed movable eyelids and glands. So, their eyelids are highly movable. Third eyelid or the nictitating membrane is also well developed in case of the reptiles that we have discussed in the mammals, which serves the purpose of cleaning the eye. The lens is less convex, so it is less convex than that of the amphibians. Pectin is present. Pectin is basically a fan like structure sometimes present over the this retina, which basically according to the intensity of light can help in focusing or in reducing the high reflection of the light. They chiefly have the monocular visions, reptiles too. They perceive moving objects more rapidly than the static ones. So, their eyes cannot see both the things at with the same intensity. That means they can observe that more fast when the object is moving, and when it is not moving they are hardly able to detect it. Then the birds. So, this was the pectin that we are talking about. Avian eyes are relatively large, occupying much space in the head. This is basically an adaptation to the good side, because bird's eye is very much highly specialized for having good sight, because they have to see while moving very fast and they have to catch hold of the prey also. Eyeball is not spherical in case of the bird, you can see over there, and they have a good power of accommodation, so they can focus very well. Eyelashes are absent in case of birds, but their eyelid, both upper and lower, in addition to the third one, the nictitating membrane, they are highly movable, and the lower eyelid is more movable as compared to the upper eyelid. The eye there, the bird's eye don't blink. uh, the semi-transparent third eyelid, that the nictitating membrane, is present in case of the birds. So, when the bird is flying in the air, or when the bird is underwater, this nictitating membrane covers the eye from its outer surface, so that the eye may not get damaged due to direct and severe contact of the high current of the water as well as the air. Color vision is highly developed because of the more presence of the cones present in case of the birds. So, birds eye have distinctive visions. by the development of two fovea. So, they have the two fovea. Again, fovea were the spot which were responsible for a good high quality image formation, or and once the fovea are two, it means they can form more good image as compared to the mammals. Moreover, the two fovea, one fovea is called the central fovea, which is used for lateral or monocular visions, and the temporal fovea lying more toward the outer side of the eye is used for forward or binocular vision. So, two fovea are there, one for monocular or the lateral vision, and one for forward or the binocular vision. A remarkable comb-like structure called the pectin is present over there. Uh, it is present inside the cavity, projected inside the cavity of the eye from the region of and ventral to blind spot. So, it is below the blind spot. This is the blind spot. It is supposed to assist in accommodation of the eyeball for quick vision of distant and near objects. So, basically when the eye has to see far away and near, so in order to adjust the eye, this pectin helps in accommodation of the eye at the distant and the near objects. This pectin is highly developed in case of the birds, and it increased the perception of the movement. So, it was less developed as we have seen previous in the reptiles. Thanks. This is about the various types of the eyes and their comparative count, and this is the photoreception in case of the vertebrates.